Success in Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry, Lutz. And, well, hey, recently I was out in that crazy place called California, and I had the opportunity to visit my friend Joe Messina's home studio, get some pointers, figure out exactly what I was doing wrong. And there was a lot, believe me. And got him on the line right now from therealside.com. Joe, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. You know, you're only about the third person that's been into my cave.
Hey, and that's about how many have been to mine as well. Yeah. You know, I always say people that want to come to my place, got to be something wrong with them. But
yeah, I'm with you. Well, you came to California. I know you had business here, but I'm thinking, you know, a guy like you would need bodyguards, and you got to get in and out of here pretty quick. You know, we're whacked out here.
Yeah, well, you're going to need bodyguards soon with a headline, "It's the left who keep the racism alive." But I can't agree with you more, because these people in Baltimore here, I mean, it's just over the top.
I agree with you. Look, the first thing that bothers me is that everything now is racist, and I mean everything. You know, I jokingly in the piece that I call out the peanut butter and jelly piece that I did 2 years ago. This is when it really started kicking the high gear, and that was a racist. Like the teachers were being told, do not talk about things like peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and what have you, because the lower socioeconomic people may not have ever seen a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And I'm thinking to myself, poor people like myself, when I grew up, I didn't know it till later on. We really didn't have any money. You know, we ate a lot of tuna fish and a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So don't think that we don't see it. And how is that racist? That's what I couldn't understand. Now you move into Baltimore, and you take that mindset and you come into Baltimore. Think about something. You know, some of the black congressional people are saying this is because of the Republican way of doing business. These are the white people keeping them down out there. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, you know, we've heard this a million times. I get it, but it bears being said again. You have a black chief of police. You have a black AG. You have a black mayor. 41% of the police force is black, right? It's not majority white, because I hate to break this to most people that there are other minorities out there. And so you've got Asians on the force, you've got Hispanics on the force. So you have a well-rounded group of people out there running that city. But for 50 years, it's been run on Democrat principles.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I thought was funny about racism is, Kerry, how many black people, and I know quite a few of them, how many black people voted for Obama because he's black? And racism is all about making decisions based on skin color. There's a hypocrisy here that I cannot wrap my mind around. I don't know how to get. Now, the other thing is, what do you think about that woman that grabbed her kid and started slapping him around on national television?
Not that she knew. I thought it was illegal to hit your kid. How come the Department of Social Affairs, Department of Child Welfare didn't come and take that kid away from her?
Well, I'll tell you what. So here's what happened. That picture comes down, and you get to see her smacking her kid around, and she does about 5 or 6 interviews. Some of them with conservative talk shows, some of them with the very liberal side, and every one of them was kind of the same thing. She said, I went down there to save my kid's life, basically. You know, he's down there, he's in the mix of things. She said, I went down, I grabbed him, and I got to tell you something. Having an Italian mother with fast hands, I felt what that kid felt. He saw her come around the corner, and he was like, he couldn't get out of his skin fast enough. You know what I'm saying? But
no, yeah. Where was his father, though?
Well,
where was the kid's father?
Yeah, a lot of conservatives were saying, now, where's his dad, and yada, yada, yada. And I said, what a refreshing thing. And matter of fact, if you go grab this is what I love about radio. Go back and grab the podcast. I never said, it's refreshing to see a black woman beating on her child. What I said was, it's so refreshing to see these stories, because all we ever see is, you know, they got 15 kids who are on welfare, they got 11 baby daddies. That's all we ever see in the media when it comes to black mothers and that kind of stuff. It was so refreshing to see a mother who's got 6 kids. She's a single mom, left work, went down to take care of her responsibility, to teach her 16-year-old son to be responsible. And what do? The left berates her. beats the crap out of her. And you're right. Now there's an investigation from Child and Family Services there in Baltimore saying if she's willing to beat up her son on public television, then you can only imagine what she's doing to him and the rest of the kids behind closed doors. Oh, just shoot me.
Well, first of all, Baltimore and the inner cities of America are the way they are because of the welfare state, because they incentivize the breakup of the African American family. Mm-hmm. And I remember my family owned some apartments in the inner city, not so nice parts of New Jersey during the early 60s when the welfare state, the Great Society, really got underway. And they used to pay these mothers only if the father wasn't present in the home. Right. And they used to actually go there and try to catch the father so they could cut the benefits off. Now, if you read Freakonomics, I can't remember the guy's name. I don't have it in front of me, but I'll look it up. This is called the negative incentives. And this is the breakup of the family. Get the fathers out, and then you wind up with just horrible outcomes. And why is anybody surprised? This is by design.
Yes, bingo. Because it's been that push of the left that the family unit is whatever they decided it is, even if it's only a mother.
Yeah, it takes a village.
But think about their mindset though is that as long as you're in in an enclosure that has four walls and it's a loving environment, that's family. And family takes all kinds of shapes and sizes. And we're even getting to that point now where family could be 3 women and 2 guys in a house along with 17 kids. That's family. It's not family. It is not family. And when you talk to these psychologists, and I've had them on my show, so this isn't a Joeism. When you have them on the show, they tell you the same thing. Look, the ultimate perfect environment for children to grow up in is one mom, one dad, the family nucleus, and because both of them feed into that child's life.
Yes.
And it's the way.
Generally, look, I don't want to make sweeping generalizations here, but I will make one here, having been a father of 3 children. But I did raise them myself because my wife passed away early on in their lives. I will say that fathers are generally make the better disciplinarians, especially for young males. It just is the way it is. It just is the way it is.
You look at what the psychologists say, even about not that they don't need mothers. So don't be writing Kerry or me, and that we're not saying that at all. But I will tell you that you read these articles, you do a little research like he and I have to do for these shows, and you always see that girls need their father's influence. That girls who have an active father in their lives, loving dad, are less likely to get pregnant out of wedlock. They're less likely to get on drugs. They're less likely to run away from home. It's just the facts. And it goes the same way the other way around. Boys that have great relationships with their moms are less likely to abuse women. They're more likely to take care of their wives, spouses, girlfriends, whatever, that kind of thing. Those are just facts. Those are not Republican facts or Joe and Kerry facts. They're just facts.
And it's so intuitive. And look, the other statistics that children that grow up in a 2-parent family, they're like 80% less likely to drop out of high school. Boys that grow up in a 2-parent family, 75% less likely, I think, and I'm citing these statistics, but I don't know the exact numbers, but 75% less likely to be involved with the criminal justice system. You know the numbers, and this is exactly what's wrong with urban America, and nobody wants to do it. And look, when I was growing up as a kid who grew up out of wedlock was called a bastard. And now he's called a victim, and he has a whole infrastructure of social system, social networks at his beck and call because he's so disadvantaged.
Do you remember when one of us is going to get slapped for this? Do you remember when they used to call him illegitimate, right?
Yeah.
having an illegitimate child, right? Can you imagine today? We get all kinds of crap for calling illegal aliens. Calling them illegal aliens. Can you imagine?
Let's bring back
today?
the stigmatism. Is my point. Man, they used to take them away from the mothers and put them into orphanages. And I'm not necessarily calling for that because a lot of abuse took place in these orphanages. They were inhuman. I don't think that's a good thing, but I don't think it's a good thing that some 15-year-old kid is having a child. A child having a child is just as inhumane and destroying another life. And I'm not calling for mandatory sterilization or abortion. And, hey,
no, but
something's got to be done here.
You got to be honest about this. Look, when a 16-year-old has a baby, the 16-year, I don't care how mature you think your daughter is, right? That 16-year-old is still kind of coming into her own, if you would. She's still learning, what it's like to be an adult, how to be responsible. Hasn't even graduated from high school. Has no real education. Now, she's got a baby. I don't, however the baby's in the world, God bless America. Hopefully it's healthy. It doesn't need any special care or treatment from the government. Now, who helps out here? In most cases, grandma and grandpa are dragged back into the picture, or a sister.
Right.
You are affecting so many people's lives, and it's not fair. Unfairly affecting so many people's lives. Mm-hmm. And, not that we don't care. You've got kids. I've got kids. You bring grandkids into the picture and you say to yourself, okay, look, I don't want that child starving. I don't want that child sleeping in a car. Get all of that. There's a fine line to entitlement. When you start entitling your kids. I remember having to make that statement to one of my kids saying, you can leave the baby here. We're more than happy to take care of her while you get yourself together. But no, you're not going to do A, B, and C.
Right.
It's a hard decision to make. And at that point, you just got to go, I just got to give it up to God and forget about it, because you're not helping that kid.
No, not helping the kid, being an enabler. And that's what so much has been forgotten here. And we need to go back to these kind of fundamental values. I don't want to call them old fashioned because I still believe they're applicable. But this is what led to the downfall of the American city, and the government through the entitlement state has become the prime enabler here, Joe.
Well, Kerry, and again, it's not one of these conspiracy things, but when you go back and look at history and you look at what communism was trying to push in the late 50s, early 60s, one of the biggest hits on their list was if they could bring down the family nucleus, if they could bring down traditional family, they could topple America. They could bring down, they could bring down the capitalism and that kind of thing. So if they knew that back then, they had already used that in other countries. And here we are buying into it today. Is it because we have less educated people? Is it because we just believe it to be a bunch of hooey? Is it because guys like me on the right scream the sky is falling and the sky never really falls? There's got to be a reason for this. I just haven't been able to figure it out.
I wish I knew, but I'll tell you what, we're our own worst enemy here, and we're doing ourselves in. And, we just got this generation of morons. And look, school, it affects their education. When you don't have two parents there, hey, what kid in their right mind really wants to go to school? I hated it. There are kids that enjoy school, but I certainly wasn't one of them. I don't know how much you enjoyed it, Joe.
I hated school. They couldn't get me out fast. I couldn't get out of there fast enough.
Yeah. It's like jail to me. It's just like an infringement. But God knows my parents didn't force me to go. I don't know. I'd be on the street today, probably drinking and getting into trouble. So,
well, Reagan said it that even back in his day, he saw it happening and he called it as it was. He made a lot of people upset, but he said we have a whole what do you call them, generation of parents that refuse to parent, that refuse to force their kids to do the right thing. They refuse to force to instill values in their children, and it will, in a generation, it will come back and bite us. And I guess he was right.
On that note, when we return, let's talk about what's going on here with Hillary. Is this Is she going to be the heir apparent to the nomination in the Democratic Party? What's going on with these Republicans? Is everybody in the country who's a Republican going to be running for president? On the Financial Survival Network.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Every week the show is growing. Would you like to be a part of it? Then go to clubfsn.com and help support us with $1, $2, $5, or $10 a month and get a host of premium content with newsletters dropped into your mailbox, free books, private audio clips, webinars, and much more. Then join clubfsn.com. If you want to get ahead of the trend and ensure your family's financial security before it's too late, go to clubfsn.com and sign up.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Hey, in case you just joined us, we are on therealside.com with Joe Messina. Recently visited him out in California in a land that you wouldn't even believe existed. It's drought stricken there. It looks like a desert. I guess it is a desert, Joe, right?
Yes. Yeah, well, it's self-inflicted drought. Let's just be clear about that, okay?
Well, the river smelt's doing pretty good, though, I heard.
Well, and hopefully that now they're fighting the fact that it's already extinct with the few that we have, and they don't reproduce the way they should be. And so, look, we're
that is
pumping.
The funniest thing I ever heard.
Oh, did you see? Yes, I know. It would be hilarious if it wasn't so sad. Think about something. We pump almost 70% of the usable water.
Yeah.
Because it has to go into that delta, or it should go into the delta. But the problem is when you pump all that fresh water into the delta, you start killing those fish. So where do they pump it? They divert it into the ocean. 75% of the usable water that comes down from there.
That is madness, Joe.
The smelt are more important than human beings.
Yeah. What if somebody just stopped it? Would they go to jail?
I was at a meeting the other day with a federal. I was with a congressman, an assemblyman, and a state senator, and I said, "Look, you guys skirted the federal law when it came to dope. All right, you passed a law that was against federal law, and you had no problem with that. Go up there and turn the fans on or the pumps on, and get that water pumping down here to us. What are they going to do? Come in with the army and stop you? You didn't care about the first one. Yeah. You could have heard a pin drop in the room."
That is madness. I mean, this is a man-created disaster, as they would call a terrorist attack, right?
Yeah, I don't get it. They really need to take up, get our congressmen. We've got a bunch of them out here. Where's our two senators, Boxer and Feinstein? Why aren't they helping with this? Why? Because scope is all over this, right? The eco freaks are having a heart attack because they don't want to kill the last 10,000 of these fish that are available. You can move these puppies. You can move them somewhere else.
Put them into a lab. Raise them on a farm. I mean,
there you go.
Genetic engineering, like just Jurassic Park them. Okay.
They are fish bait.
Do something.
Really, in the real world, they're fish bait. Okay. We call them minnows on the East Coast. I don't get any of that.
What is wrong, man? This is California. What's amazing. I read an article about how California can no longer govern itself. So your governor, Governor Moonbeam, what everyone forgets is that his father, Pat Brown, was governor, and the last viaduct that was built in California completed in 1974 under his father, and yet it seems like the state's forgotten how to do these projects. Should have been building reservoirs because since the last drought, which took place, I think it was in the 80s, am I not mistaken, or the 90s, you have 10 million more people in your state. So that's like a big part of the problem, 10 million more water consumers. And what do? You need more water. And the droughts are not uncommon. You have them like every other decade or so. You had in the 70s, 80s. Was there one in the 90s? One in the 90s.
You're right. No, there's pretty much been at least a minor one every decade, And now, I don't know, Governor Moonbeam said last Friday that he was going to fine homes $10,000 for overusing water, each resident, for every infraction. Now, I'm thinking to myself, according to the law has to be applied equally across the board, right? I mean, you can't make a law that treats lower socioeconomic people better than rich people and vice versa, right? So isn't this subjective? All right, I have an acre and a half. You saw my lot.
Right.
All right. I've got a vegetable garden, all kinds of other stuff. Then I got the people next door to me who have about 2/3 of an acre. There's only 2 people in the house, right? So he's going to use the number of the people living next door to me as the average number for the whole block. Well, that's not right. That's not fair. I don't buy a whole bunch of stuff at the grocery store because I got groceries growing in my backyard.
Oh, it's a madhouse, you know?
Yeah. No kidding.
I feel like we're in Planet of the Apes. Remember where Charlton Heston's going, it's a madhouse.
Oh, yeah.
It's a madhouse. We are in a madhouse here.
We are.
And there's no way out. And hey, speaking of madhouses, elections. So this Hillary, you know, they sold the Lincoln bedroom when they were in office, and they didn't seem to have any problems with it. No one in the country did. No indictments, no nothing. I mean, if they could have put it on eBay and sold it to the highest bidder, I think they would have. And they wouldn't have been embarrassed. They have no shame, these Clintons. And they've been selling everything. She stole stuff from the White House when they were leaving. Oh, gee, accidental packing. You know, you just can't get good help these days.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, right now she's selling the national interest. It's a tag team, the Clintons, you know, they've just mastered the art of personal opportunism. And you think she's finished? I mean, it just seems like everybody's had it with them.
I'm not so sure she's finished. Okay. I think she's going to be around for a while. I think, you know, because a lot of Dems are petrified of Republicans, period. So if she is the party's nomination, you know, we could have a problem, right? And if she gets in there again, life is going to be miserable because they're going to be seen, or they're going to have the feeling that they're unstoppable. You look at what Petraeus almost went to jail for. It's an eighth of what she has done with between her emails and documents and that kind of stuff. But who's going to put handcuffs on her? This is my favorite mantra on my show: is who's got the spine to go put handcuffs on these people? You're gonna arrest Barack Obama or our previous attorney general? Of course not.
Right. Well, on that note, we got to get going, Joe. Realside.com. Got to check it out. TheRealSide.com. And we always love having Joe on. Joe, we'll talk to you again real soon. Be well.
Kerry, thanks for having me. Always a good time.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.